pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes of December 1st, 2025.
Make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Pierce, Commissioner Eulenkamp. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Awards and proclamations, nothing this time. Nothing under public hearing. No bid openings. No visitors or delegations. Commission portfolios, I'll start with Commissioner Pierce.
Keep that.
We were contacted by the North Dakota State College of Science to see if we'd be willing to participate in an internship for their fire science program down there. So we are looking into that, seeing what requirements we have to follow and what all we need to do. But I think that seems like a pretty exciting opportunity for us. So we're gonna see if we can't make that happen. We're gonna work with the head of the program and hopefully get something going by maybe this summer.
Great, good idea.
So, yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Everything's still coming together for the fishing derby then?
Yep, we're building nice. That's good. Prizes are coming in.
Any
Making things
tickets?
happen. Huh?
The question of the year is any tickets left?
No. Unless you know somebody.
Well, I saw on Facebook they
That's,
got how many books at
yep,
the Red River
so-
Sports?
Yep, they always hold theirs for their event.
Oh,
And
that's
then
how
they
that
sell them at
works.
their event. Yep. So I'll be picking those up when I go down for
Okay.
an event down there. So
We have our LEC meeting this Wednesday.
Okay.
Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Eulenkamp.
Mike, streets.
I have nothing to report tonight, Commissioner, unless you have questions.
I have a question. Is there any way we can get signs put up on College Drive that say center lane is a turning lane? Because people here in the snow are still driving whatever that direction is towards Highway 2. And they're driving in both lanes going that way. So you got cars that aren't. So I didn't know if we could get signs up there or somehow let people know that it's no longer a 4-lane road. It's a 2-lane with a turning lane.
There are signs. You know, there's signs that conform to the traffic manual that say center turn lane. There's no, I mean, I can't, not
No,
a
I know.
billboard. There are signs up when we change the striping that coincide with telling people it's a center turn lane. So I
I'm
can
just worried.
review that and see if any were damaged and not there.
Or I
I
didn't
can
see
review the
anything. I
plans.
didn't, maybe I just wasn't working hard enough, but that's an accident waiting to happen with this icy roads and snow.
You gotta learn all over when the snow hits.
Yeah.
That's right.
I will mention as well, I'm sure the commission's aware, if you look at the new Christmas decorations that were purchased, that you see, especially on 6th and 6th, in comparison to some of our older Christmas decorations, it's noticeable. I think we purchased 38 Christmas decorations this year. We have budgeted, we could probably get 10 more in 2026. But you don't realize how old and tired the old Christmas decorations are until you throw up some new ones.
Or the new ones, LED lights.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're LED and
Fluffier.
fluffier. That's the word to use tonight. Yes, they just look so much fresher. And our guys try and, take care of them. We have them stored inside now and have been stored inside, but they just get, the garland itself gets tired, the wiring gets tired, the sockets get tired, and then it's just an upkeep sort of thing. But that's all I have, Commissioner, unless you have questions.
I don't. That's all I got.
That's it? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hatch.
Mike, anything from sanitation?
Nothing for sanitation.
Anything from engineering?
Just working on plan development for the 2026 construction projects. That's why for engineering, and we have the capital improvement plan later on in the agenda.
Okay, Rob?
As we near the end of the year, obviously property taxes are become a big topic again. Just a reminder that I will be sending out letters for the homestead property tax credit applicants at the end of this month, so they can watch for those as they'll have to apply again for next year. The primary residence property tax credit application period will open up on January 1st. We'll be encouraging our residents to apply for that, and I'll bring it up again at the next meeting. just as
What's
a
the level
reminder.
of participation or
So the primary residence credit is you own and live in your own home. That's the online application. That's $1,600.
okay.
So,
And then how about the homestead credit? What's the income level?
so homestead property
Qualify.
tax credit, you have to be 65 or older or permanently and totally disabled, and then meet certain income thresholds. So the thresholds are if your net income for the year is between $40,000 and $70,000, you'd be eligible for a 50% property tax credit. If you're under $40,000, it's 100% property tax credit. You can deduct out-of-pocket medical expenses you would have incurred during the year.
Is that net or gross?
So net.
Net.
Yeah. And say you incurred medical expenses, like you're paying a premium for Blue Cross Blue Shield supplemental, you can deduct that premium. So if you fall, say you're $75,000 for net income, you may have out-of-pocket medical expenses that would bring you under that $70,000. And then those programs also stack. So say you get a 50% property tax credit on the homestead credit, now you can apply and get the primary residence credit that'll cover up to an additional $1,600 on top of that. So we want to make sure our residents are taking advantage of those programs.
Do you need to bring your tax forms in to prove the income limits? or-
For the homestead property tax credit, you don't have to. It's a lot easier if you have a 1040 and you've completed the income taxes to be able to complete that form.
See, when I tell people how to do that, I want to know what they need.
Yeah.
A 1040
Yeah, the 1040. Yeah. So if they file income taxes, just bring in the packet you got from your
tax,
CPA,
yeah.
and it takes 10 minutes to fill out an application. And sometimes on first-time applicants, we find that they may have been eligible the year before, so we can go back a year and potentially get them a refund of taxes they paid as well. So, yeah.
They were talking about raising that 70.
They were.
70,000. That went down after they increased the other.
So that was part of 1176 with the tax caps. One of the
Okay.
pieces in there is they were going to raise that to 80. They
Right.
pulled that out and they left it at 70.
Okay.
So, but there was consideration of moving that up, but that didn't happen. Also, we've recently sent out a couple of letters on temporary greenhouses to individuals who have temporary greenhouses to have them pull. The permit only allows for them to have them up for 180 days during a calendar year, and then they've got to take those down. So we've sent some letters out to take care of that for the year. And our next topic is going to be the Connex boxes and the storage containers that we're seeing pop up. So probably not too long into the new year, we'll be starting to send letters out to individuals who have those that are in non-compliance with zoning in an effort to try and get those cleaned up. So unless you have questions for me, that's what I've got.
I'm good. Thank you.
That's everything. Mr. Ganowski.
Mike, sewer water.
Just a quick update on utilities. You see a hole being dug out by TSC. They're just working on a water break today. There's a connection there where things tie together that's leaking a little bit. So they're working on that. They had worked on another little small leak and termination of an old abandoned water service over by along Highway 2 near the car wash. If you see that hole, we have to get back there and get that thing cleaned up. But
I did see one of the guys over there by UPS. There was a water leak there.
that's south of Highway 2 in that addition. It seems like the mayor knows very well. It seems like there's a lot of curb stops and leaks underneath.
It was the rigid
homes over
pipe
there.
they used. They're shifting and they're breaking.
That's always a challenge in the wintertime, and it's frustrating for the people that live over there because it's very difficult to get the water turned off. Things weren't done in the manner then as they are today, as far as being able to isolate and turn off individual homes and things. It seems like when something happens over there, everybody's scratching their head and looking.
Do you shut off all that water?
In some cases, you have to. Whenever curb stops are found and things are found, it gets surveyed, and our map. Devin's working on our GIS, so everybody, the utility folks, have all the city maps on their phones, and it's just a continual update process. You find something, you learn something new. Okay, here's what the map shows. No, they redline it, put in changes, and it gets adjusted. So it's kind of a work in progress for us. That's all I have for utilities, Commissioner.
That's it, sir.
That's it? Thank you. Chief?
Mayor, we did some defensive tactic training the last 2 weeks. Sergeant Graywater and Officer Brocky. Just our agency, we're looking maybe expanding that, we're inviting in Ramsey County deputies as well in the future. So we have some interest in that. Other than that, we still have an opening in our agency. We haven't had much luck getting applicants in. Eric and I are gonna do a show here later this week and talk about maybe do a little spot to try to influence somebody around the area.
Mhm.
It's always good to maybe get some take from a community member, maybe looking for a career change,
Sounds
like a deputy that I know. But that's all I got for you, Mayor.
okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Spencer?
Just one comment on the bottom of the agenda is the financial report. Brennan did a software hiccup where we went through an update and then kind of got blocked out of it. So we'll send that out to you guys here by the end of the week. We'll post on the next agenda for the general public.
That's it? Jason?
There are 5 ordinances on the agenda for a second reading. Also, there's an extension of letter of intent under new business. If commissioners want to have any comment, it's a very simple extension agreement. Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have anything else to add? If not, we'll move on. Okay, old business, we don't have anything at this time. Nothing under the consent agenda. New business, it's the second reading of ordinance 1028, North Dakota Telephone Company franchise agreement. And Spencer, is that all, or Jason, or it's just self-explanatory really, right?
Well, I believe the city attorney gave you an update at the last meeting, but if he
Yep.
wants to give you a high level overview and then contingent upon your approval, we'll move forward and work with NDTC.
Any questions from the commission? If not,
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Pierce,
I'll second it.
Commissioner Kanowski. Any further discussion? No discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same for no? Motion carries. Second reading, item 2, ordinance 1029, North Dakota Telephone Company franchise agreement. There again,
Make a motion to approve the ordinance 1029.
Commissioner Kanowski,
Second.
Commissioner Eulenkamp. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Third, ordinance 1030, North Dakota franchise agreement.
Make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Pierce,
Second.
Commissioner Kanowski. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Number 4, ordinance 1031, North Dakota Telephone Company franchise agreement.
Make a motion to approve 1031.
Commissioner Eulenkamp. Okay, says there a second.
Second.
Commissioner Hatch. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5, second reading of ordinance 1032, North Dakota franchise agreement.
Make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Pierce,
Second.
Commissioner Eulenkamp. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, item 6 is pay estimate number 4 for final curb, gutter, and sidewalk. Mike?
Estimates for work that's been completed to date total due and the estimate is $1,565.41. Recommend approval.
Make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Eulenkamp,
I'll second it.
Commissioner Kanowski. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Eulenkamp.
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce.
Aye.
Commissioner Kanowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Haas.
Aye.
President Moe.
Aye, motion carried. Item 7 is a Homestead Credit Act 2023 and 2024 application denial for 1115 6th Street And I guess I'll let Spencer kind of give us a little idea of what's going on here.
Yeah, Mayor Mo, members of the commission, really, the goal of bringing this to you here is to get your support for a course of direction one way or the other. So the resident lives at 1115 6th Street Northeast. They qualified for the 2023 and 2024 homestead tax credit. They were granted these tax credits, and the state came back and alerted Ramsey County, who then alerted us that they denied the applications because it turns out that the property is actually owned by an irrevocable trust and not the resident. And so there are property taxes in a total of just shy of $4,500 that are due from the owner / resident / trust to the respective political subdivisions. In the memo, I broke out the amounts owed to each political subdivision. And so we've had some back and forth with Ramsey County over how to address this the last handful of months. Okay. And Ramsey County is in the position that because, well, the city approved the applications, that we should give the county that $4,500, who will then they're going to disperse it to everybody. And then we have to come to terms with the resident / owner on our own terms. I've suggested that the correct place for resolving this matter is the county's delinquent taxes process. I've been alerted by the county treasurer that should the city not give the funding to the county, that they would withhold it from our next distribution of property taxes in January. So I guess one way or the other, I want to work to resolve this, trying to be solution people, not problem people, but kind of need this commission support one way or the other, where if we're going to say, no, county, you need to run it through your normal process, and then they're going to withhold funding, and that's never good when that happens, right? And so trying to get the commission's support one way or the other, whether to remit it and then work with the owner, or to say, no, county, you need to run through your normal process. To talk to the city attorney earlier today. I know you had your first initial impressions, but if you feel a need to comment on it, I guess maybe I'll give you that opportunity and then to the commission.
I do not think it's the city's place to pay someone else's property taxes. I think there's too much emphasis placed on the fact that a city assessor signed off on the homestead credit application, because from there it goes to the state tax commission, and it was at the state level that they denied it. So not necessarily taking a position as to how to negotiate with the county, but I don't think it's good policy procedure to pay taxes on behalf of a homeowner.
Yeah, that only makes
I agree.
I think it should follow the county myself. I mean, the
Yeah.
county's the one that initiates the county taxes.
Well,
Property
it doesn't
tax.
come from the homeowner, that's the one that's responsible ultimately.
Right.
What responsibility does the state have on this for approving it for 23 and 24, and then all of a sudden finding
So,
Maybe Rob, you can give an update on how the process works, because you can go back a year.
Right. So the way that this worked out specifically, it would have been March or April of 24. We completed the application for 2023 with an abatement, and then the application for 2024. And I approved those, not knowing it was in an irrevocable trust. So then it got processed through the county. They approved, they issued the abatement, awarded the credit on the tax statement for 2024. And then at some point in around April of 25 is when I was notified that the state had rejected it because it was in that trust. That's how the timeline played out.
And we did alert the resident back in April. Obviously, the resident is qualifies for the homestead credit, right? So, trying to be aware of that factor of what a $4,500 bill immediately happens there, but just
We don't have many of those problems. I think this is the first one I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Well,
I would homes in irrevocable trust. I would say it's kind of kind of a hidden thing out there. Because like when the state did that original $500 tax credit, they never granted it to homes that were owned in irrevocable trusts. And, you know, the state with all their resources, lawyers and experts, they didn't even include it. And they realized that after the fact, since the last legislative session, they went and retroactively made those homes in irrevocable trust eligible for that primary resident tax credit that they created. So I guess, you know,
So they're eligible for the primary tax credit, but they're not eligible for the homestead credit.
homestead. And so administrative oversight, whatever, I think it's just, we're going to be better moving forward for sure. We've learned, but I wouldn't say that we're the first ones that have done that by no means, but we're not going to make the same mistake twice is what I'm trying to relate to. But really, if we might, this is the reason why I'm bringing it to you. If we say no county, we're not going to give you the money, and then they start withholding property tax revenue from us. I like for people to get along, but I need the commission's support whether I'm going to go down that road.
So you really want us to make a decision whether or not the county should handle it for it?
Or basically say no to remitting the funding to Ramsey County and then working with the resident is kind of what I'm getting at. Because that was their suggestion of what we should do. I can do that. We would try to do it well. But again, whether or not we should is the other question.
Well, I think we should take our attorney's advice and follow his recommendation or suggestion. Would be my thoughts.
I just,
I
you know,
mean,
just
It's a bad situation,
for
but
the record, it's, pardon my French, but it's a shitty situation to put this homeowner in.
yeah, well,
I
she's in it no matter
I
what.
feel bad. I just feel bad.
It's not on the city that did that.
No,
So you need a motion to,
I think if you made a motion to reject paying Ramsey County the $4,500, that would be sufficient.
okay.
I'll make a motion to reject paying Ramsey County the $4,500.
Commissioner Kanowski,
I'll second.
Commissioner Hatch. Okay, is there any further discussion? Let's do a roll call.
Commissioner Eulenkamp,
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce,
Aye.
Commissioner Kanowski,
Aye.
Commissioner Hash,
Aye.
President Moore.
Aye, motion carries. Okay. Item 8 is a biannual update to the city policy manual. And Spencer?
And Mayor, members of the commission, over the last 2 weeks, the city personnel policy advisory committee met, and just really they're mostly just grammatical and minor language changes to the policy manual. If you just go through it, I'll flag just a couple sections. Section 204 just added a sentence that said all changes to personal information to include bank accounts and all those sorts of things needs to be made in person at the auditing department to prevent fraud. We get a lot of shady emails to change people's bank accounts and all that sort of stuff. So really want people to come in person to change that personal information. Adjusted the level to which department heads can hire up to an F. It used to be an E, but we have since eliminated the two columns at the beginning, AA and A. So just basically moving that authority up with the pay scale added, by that holiday section 326, that the city commission approves the calendar in November. And then one section that we added was section 333. One of the things we talked with Mike and Public Works is how we handle people going to get their commercial driver's license. If we have, so basically what we put in there is, so if we have an employee that we want them and need them to go get their CDL, is that we would pay for the course for them to go and get their CDL. But if they terminate their employment with the city within 2 years, they would owe us on a prorated basis back, because it is a very commercially attractive certification right now. So we want to try to prevent ourselves from being a farm system yet trying to get our employees the certifications that they need to drive our snowplows and other heavy equipment. So this had universal support from the Personnel Policy Advisory Committee. Mike, this was something that you had requested. Do you have anything further to add? I'll give you an opportunity other than that.
Policy mimics what the Department of Transportation has. We haven't seen that as an issue. We haven't been losing employees to like the oil boom out west, but it's just something that you put in place. It costs a lot of money right now to train people with commercial
They
driver's
have to go
license.
through a long, lengthy school now, right?
Yeah, when the regulations change, there's a process. You have to do online courses as well as much behind the wheel. I was visiting with Train ND, and they're looking at over $10,000 to get somebody trained. They were looking at doing a class up in Langdon for 3 individuals. That's what the numbers were penciling out at. We've been fortunate. We've been working with the college out of Spirit Lake, and the last few folks that we had trained out there, and that worked very well for us.
What do they
That
charge
continues.
to do it? You still have to pay, right?
Yeah, that fluctuates a little bit. I think the last one that we went through was just over $3,000.
Wow.
Good training, seemed to work out well. Do stuff
Yeah.
online, do behind the wheel.
We need that.
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate.
All these trucks and equipment we have, they need to know how to run them.
As there was,
Your meeting's over?
I guess, if you're leaving it.
was section 302, was that completely rewritten or was that added?
No, I just rewrote that one section that I should have just,
Three.
I think I
You're looking
highlighted that whole
backwards.
section.
Yeah.
Yeah, you highlighted the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then under 309, there's a whole thing I highlighted,
Oh, is it the,
equal opportunity.
yeah, that was just Tanya, legal updates from the HR industry that she felt was be prudent to put in there. And then the only other thing is, we talked a little bit about cell phones at the advisory committee, or cell phone reimbursement policy, and who gets what and when, and whether or not we're issuing city cell phones to people, or if we just give them a stipend. And there's factors at play with that. And so we weren't going to have a well thought out proposal for you guys in time for this meeting. So we're just going to ask that you approve it as is, and then Q1 of 2025, we're going to work on it and bring something forward to you. I think there's evidence of maybe an inconsistent cell phone reimbursement policy across the city, to include, the airport and the library. And I think there's a desire to get everybody on a uniform level playing field with clear expectations as to what and when. I'll just, for example, like if you look in the budget, like the mayor gets a cell phone stipend, right? But you guys equally use your cell phones for your commission work as well. So trying to get things a little bit better, fair and equitable with reality. But, I mean, if you're doing one, let's do the other, right? And so, but then there's also factors at play where if you get a cell phone stipend, then your phone could be subject to open records request, because we're acknowledging that you're using your personal cell phone for work. So if you're texting other people about city business, that can ping on a FOIA request, which would, if you're not disciplined with your text messages, could get interesting. But anyway, so there's just all those factors in play. So we'll bring something that's pretty well thought out, and Tanya's looking at to see how other communities do it.
Fair and consistent, so that nobody's getting more than somebody else, I guess. You're done getting more than you should.
Need to have some proof.
Yeah, we're seeking approval of this, and I think, I don't know, and there's a broader conversation, I think that, Mayor, we've had, and Commissioner Eulenkamp in the meeting about how, we have these other political subs like the library and the airport that, the city has their money, we write the checks, they follow, well, they're supposed to follow the city policy manual, but I think sometimes that they don't, because they have their independent boards and that's who they report to. And when they don't follow the city's policy manual, it can cause a little friction internally, because we're all seeing and watching. And, Mary, you suggested, well, they receive the same city benefits that everybody else does, just have to follow the city policy manual.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think along with the cell phone policy type of stuff is the conversation with the commission as to how accountable we want to hold like the airport and the library to following that manual, if we're going to provide all this administrative support to them and they're going to be well integrated into the team like they almost are part of the city.
Well, if they get the same benefits, the times off and the vacation and sick leave policy and all this other insurance and stuff, it tells me they're a city employee. They're under the city guidelines. That would be my vision of it, and they should follow the city. Even though they are governed by a separate board, they still need to be following policy rules governed by the city. You can't have no smoking in our vehicles and then they can drive around and smoke in theirs. I'm using that as an example. I don't know that that's happening, but it's something like that. Or they can't have cell phones and just everybody of their employees, and then our employees can't have them. We got to have some consistency there because enforcement's hard otherwise.
And I think I haven't been shy with you, Mayor. There has been frustration on that level of trying to reach some level of consistency and understanding across everything.
So that policy should be adopted and they should be given that policy to follow out at the airport, would be my, if they're receiving the benefits of us doing their bookwork, doing all their, doing their accounting. I mean, they're getting,
their own entity,
well, they kind of are, but they still have a board that we supplement a lot of their funding.
follow a policy manual?
I don't know if they have one.
They do have a policy
But I don't know if we're gonna be funding them, and I don't know, either that or if they go on their own. I mean, they can't, it seems like they want it, the good and the bad, or no bad, but all the good. Huh?
So you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, and the same way with the library. Anyone that's, has a board, they have. I don't know if they have their own policy manual, so
They should match up with the cities.
it should. I mean, it's tax dollars.
And maybe we can just have that more detailed conversation when we bring up the cell phone type of stuff.
Probably have a conversation with the airport board too.
manual. I think we need to.
We're gonna have a tax library meeting.
Yeah, just so we're, and get an understanding of how they gotta fall in. Because it's always been a confusion. It's been a confusion for many years.
I'll make a motion to approve the policy changes, updates, should I say, for the employee manual.
Commissioner Pierce, is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Hatch. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 9, 2026 Capital Improvement Plan. Mike?
The commission had previously reviewed our capital improvement plan. This is just an update to the plan, kind of given the information for the next 5 years. Got to give Devin from the office the vast majority of the credit for putting this together. Very good at laying out spreadsheets, making it colorful. If it came from me, it would be black and white and it would be right to the point. But Devin really does a nice job of laying things out. If you look through the capital improvement plan, it lays out year by year the projects that we're working on. That's the upfront spreadsheets as far as the roadway work, the water main replacement work. And then the spreadsheets get a little more involved, showing the specific roadways that'll be improved as part of that particular year. Sometimes we have people calling, hey, when are you going to come to my road? When are you going to be able to get my water main replaced? And so we lay it out so that different people can be looking at the capital improvement plan. Currently on the plan, here's the block that you live on, and this is the work that's going to be done in that section of town and when it'll be completed. So we have that. There's tables in there talking about the funding and how the different various projects will be funded. I think I'll let Spencer speak to that. And then there's maps in the back, just a quick review showing here's what we're going to be doing in 2025, 26, 27, and so on. So if you don't want to get caught up in spreadsheets and you're kind of like to look at a simple map saying, hey, what's going on? And next year, for the most part, for instance, we're doing work on roadways south of the railroad tracks, between the railroad tracks and Highway 2 on the south side from College Drive to 8th Avenue for the most part. And then we're working on the frontage roads for Highway 2. So that's the work that's occurring. We know what's happening with the roadways. We know what's happening with the water mains. That's laid out in the plan. I will draw your attention to the miscellaneous section of our capital improvement plan. Those are all the other projects. The things that we know we have to address at some time, but we don't have a time slot for them. In many cases, we're dealing with a lot of fairly old infrastructure. The sanitary sewer main lift station, for instance, that the mayor has brought up in the past. Vast majority of the infrastructure utilized right now is 1950s. That building is 1950s. The concrete's 1950s. The pumps and things were upgraded in the 90s. That's 30 years ago, right? That was updated. It's still working. It's meeting all of our requirements. There's people working there every day. We're making sure that things are maintained. The Ford lift station. So that's sanitary lift station, the Ford lift station right across the street by the Ford dealership. Built in the late 1970s. The vast majority of the infrastructure in that is still 1970s. Do the pumps work? Yes, they do. Do the contactors work? Does everything work and is it maintained? Yes, it is. But it's older, aging infrastructure. That's why it's outlined in our miscellaneous group. There's some high ticket infrastructure items that are laid out, but we really don't have a year. If it's working, maintaining, and it's not breaking the bank to keep it maintained, at this point, we don't need to do anything with it. But you can look through the various years and what's unscheduled for things that are on the horizon. So that's the miscellaneous item. That's really the unknown and the timing with it. So with that, if you have any questions related to the particular projects or things that are laid out, and Spencer looks like he's up and we'll be talking about the funding.
For 2026, have you identified the areas that you're going to work on for the city sidewalk replacements? Have you looked into, because I didn't see anything on the map, so I was just kind of wondering.
We haven't identified that. We do have areas that are identified with our sidewalk. Be frank with you, we've had some difficult time with contractors. If you look at the pay estimate for the sidewalk that was approved, look at the contract amount and what the total dollar amount that was spent. We couldn't get the work done. We've had that issue the last handful of years, and it's been frustrating. We've talked in-house about potentially putting together a larger project, bidding it all at once, and trying to entice contractors and maybe even other contractors from out of town that would come just to do that work. It makes it difficult because you do a curb stop replacement and you impact a section of sidewalk. That section of sidewalk has to be replaced. It's nice to have a local contractor that can do that work, that's under contract with the city to complete that work. We have a water main and we have to impact some curb and gutter to get that replaced. That would be very difficult to do with an out-of-town contractor. So Devin and I have talked about it. We've struggled with it the last handful of years. That's what makes that a little bit challenging.
Yeah,
Because
I've gotten a lot of grief from people on the sidewalks for the last 3 years that I've been on the commission. So I'm kind of wondering how we are gonna remedy this problem.
if you are contacted related to a sidewalk, please let us know, have them contact us. Because we do have a list of sidewalks. We want to make sure that if there are sidewalks that are in disrepair, we would have that on our list to have improved.
Roger that.
Any questions related to the capital improvement plan and the projects?
Is that on our website? Or is that something that people need to come in here to go see it?
No, that can be placed on the website. It's on the website right now because it's on the agenda for commission review and approval. Once we get through this process and it is officially stamped and approved, that could be put on their city engineering site.
From the funding standpoint, the Prairie Dog, all the projections that we have from the League of Cities as to what we could expect and when are included on there, as well as sales tax. I wanted you guys to approve this before 2026, but once the end of the year comes, we'll come in and drill down so that the 2025 numbers are right on the nose, and then we'll just attach it as an informational item, just with the most up-to-date information. But as far as laying out the future, that's included. I would add that to the items, City Hall, kind of a phase one City Hall remodel, along with the police department relocation is included in there, and you'll see a $375,000 loan payment, which is the equivalent of $4 million at 4.5%. I can't tell you what the exact price and the exact interest rate would be, but that's the estimate. And so for all the reasons that we've talked about, trying to find a new home for the police department, we put it into the capital improvement plan. We do see it as viable funding is viable long-term. We have 2 bonds that are going to expire here pretty soon that are eating up quite a bit of our infrastructure money, as well as it's just a trade-off, right? And I think, we revert back to the sales tax is, this is just money that you're not spending on infrastructure. But I think that we've demonstrated through this capital improvement plan that we can meet the engineering department's needs, or our infrastructure needs as identified by the engineering department, into the future while still investing in a new home for the PD. So that is in the capital improvement plan.
So you need a motion to approve this capital plan? Is that what you're looking for? Or just information?
No, we're seeking approval of the capital
Seeking approval of it?
So as part of that capital improvement plan, it's kind of tied a little bit with the PD facility cost estimate. So those two are a little bit tied as far as the conversation and numbers outlined. So I don't know how.
So do we want to go to the next item 2 first before we approve that capital improvement?
Well,
Or would it
this
be-
is how I view it. And you guys are approving the capital improvement plan. It includes the PD relocation, which is just further
Okay.
solidifying that we do intend to move the police department to a new home.
Okay.
And then the next item details
More.
the information that we have in relation to our cost estimates.
Okay.
And
So
one other item with the capital improvement plan, we do apply for grant funding to improve the roadways in the industrial park. We've applied for grants through the state the last couple of years, I believe, for trying to help offset the local costs for that. We won't know if we are successful in receiving a grant until January 2026. It's not included in any work that we're projecting to have completed in 26 through 2030. But if a grant is received, we'll have to revisit. Right? If we're able to secure some grant funding to help improve the roadways in our industrial park, we'll have to take a look and say, hey, are we going to complete this or not, and how are we going to fund it with grant? But if we're not successful in receiving a grant, the current capital improvement plan would be laid out as is. If we're successful, we'll revisit it early next year.
Again, these are plans change, right? But we at least have mapped out, I think, primarily specifically the next 2 years, pretty firmly.
So after you're approved for a grant, for example, let's say you get the grant, how soon afterward do you have to spend that money?
I think the construction would be 2027 or 28.
Okay. So
It's not going to be 2026, that's for sure. It's money through the state. It's always a process every now and then.
what's the wishes of the commission?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, Commissioner Pierce.
Second.
Commissioner Eulenkamp. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Elenkamp.
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce.
Aye.
Commissioner Kanowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Hatch.
Aye.
President Moe.
Aye, motion carries. Item 10, the Police Department Facility Cost Estimate Report. Spencer, I guess, you want to start it out?
So Mayor Moe, members of the commission, so included there is kind of a high-level overview memo that I wrote, as well as Mike, a little bit more in-depth, summarizing the 2 reports that we received, one from EAPC and the other from Dumont. And the capital improvement plan and the City Hall Police Department working group that we created met last week, and we really combed over in detail those reports. And I'm just going to give you a whole synopsis here real quick. So the options that we had looked at was the Western Equipment Finance Building, the Trainer Building, and build new, ideally downtown on the city-owned parking lot here across the street. And so I'm just going to go to the Western Equipment Finance Building. So this is the estimated total cost to make that hospitable for just the police department using the northeast corner of that building was 3.9 to 4.9 if you include a $1.5 million acquisition cost. When you're going to hear us talk about acquisitions cost, anything that we would do, we would probably get a third-party broker opinion of value, but these are just our best estimates. Okay. We have had conversations with Western. We feel pretty confident that this is a ballpark. That would be a ballpark number. But so you're talking 3.9 to 4.9 million for just the PD. Now, for sure, from a square foot basis, given the size of that building, that is probably the best bang for your buck on a per square foot basis. It was the consensus of the group that unless you have public safety partners on board prior to purchasing the building, it probably doesn't make sense for the city of Devils Lake, given the immense square footage and the cost just to fix up for just the city side. So if you had other partners, you'd probably be looking at, probably adding another $2-3 million to that to meet their needs in the building. And in talking with the group, I know that I feel like I have a strong indication. Mayor, I think you do too. I don't know if the other commissioners have a different feeling, but whether or not primarily Ramsey County or the folks at the LAC would want to partner on some sort of a public safety center model over there at the Western building. If that was in the,
I'll bring it up again tomorrow or Wednesday.
but yeah, so in our assessment, just talking with the folks at the county over the last, we'll say 6 months or so, I feel
think
pretty
we've had
confident.
3 meetings in regards to trying to do something with them in conjunction with them, and they basically weren't interested.
Yeah, and I don't really feel like there's a path forward for that, either from Ramsey County or even the sheriff's office specifically. And so with that knowledge, I think, it was the group's consensus that, given what we know, that the Western building is probably not for the city of Devils Lake. Unless tomorrow Ramsey County says that they really want to partner with us on something, but they have voted saying they don't want to leave the LAC and they don't want to do this. So, and then conversations, we'll say the last 3 months, I sense that sentiment hasn't changed is my,
That's my sense of it also.
so, so that's the Western building. The Trainer building, could be anywhere after acquisition costs, total of 2.6 to 3.6. And primarily that relates to the scope of the project, right? If you want to fully renovate both floors and put an elevator in and do it right for a 30-year life cycle, you're looking at probably on the higher end towards that over $3 million mark. Now, if you only just want to kind of patch up the main floor and just make it be, after acquisition costs, you're probably looking at that 2.5 area. Can you remind us the square footage on the main floor, Mike? What was the square footage?
3,600.
3,600. Okay.
What's your square footage now?
Give me a second, I'll check it out here.
I'm wondering if that's even giving you
Yeah,
more
it's-
space. It's not really. It's not
Oh, yeah,
expanding.
he's got to give you, I'm sure.
So based on the layout that you had provided, I think we were in 4,000 square foot was kind of the idea.
Of what he
Then
wished.
in addition to that, they were looking at some training space and some
Right.
additional storage. So we're looking at about 6,000 square feet total.
Currently, I think we're under 3,000 in that.
But still going to be.
The LAC has shared space, so then you add the shared space in
Yeah.
there, that's like 3,400.
That doesn't mean you couldn't use the basement for some evidence storage and a few other purposes, but just in general, if you want to kind of just do the main floor to include the garage, you're looking at that 2.5 to 3 million. And so it was the group's consensus that, to build new, estimated depending on how big you want to build it, 3.5 to 4 or 3.5 to 5 million on the downtown parking lot. And so the group's consensus was, and we'll see if the full commission agrees, that if we were going to fully renovate that building, front and, or the main level, the basement, to include putting in an elevator, that it would probably just make more sense to build it. If you're going to put that much money into something, you're only going to get a 30-year life cycle out of it. If you build new, you're going to have a 50-year life cycle. And we ran the math as a price per year proposition. You think in the Western building at 30 years, you think in the Trainer building at 30 years, or build new at the roughly $4 million over 50 years, the price per year is definitely the building. And so I guess there's kind of 4 policy decisions that we need you guys to consider, not looking for final decisions tonight, of course. But number 1, is it worth engaging Ramsey County and the LAC again on Public Safety Center? I think we have the answer. But if you guys want to continue that diplomacy, you got to let staff know, and we'll do that. Or it's the build new, or kind of just patch up the main floor and a little bit and build the garage of the Trainer building. it was the group's consensus that doesn't make sense to fully renovate the trainer building. If you're gonna spend that much money, you might as well just build it. And so really gonna turn it over to you guys. That's the information feedback. Primarily, do you have the information that you feel like you need right now? And we can continue to drill down.
So why don't those public safety partners, why don't they want to be in the same building? I mean, to me, it just makes sense for everybody just to be.
It's,
This is what we've been,
Oh,
having the sheriff's office,
Yeah.
not with the correctional facility.
Yeah,
And I will tell you, I believe it in my heart of hearts, the best greater good thing for this is to build have a public safety center model at the Western Equipment Finance Building. The price per square foot, I think you're lowering the cost of the LEC project.
the problem with that is to have a jail built on that.
Well, but my premise is that the jail doesn't even need to be built on that. The jail could be built anywhere. But, you know, there's a perception that the sheriff's office must be with the correctional facility. And I just reject that has to be that, because it isn't like that everywhere. Grand Forks County just put the jail underneath the sheriff's office, and they moved the sheriff's office to the other side of town. And so, you know, I want to hear people's needs on it. I just feel like if there was a will, there was a way. And taking all those ancillary services to include dispatch and the sheriff's office and the PD, and you put them in that building, it would drastically reduce the cost of that new LEC. But I just don't, over the last year, talking with the county, I just don't believe we have a willing partner, unfortunately.
Couple questions I have on the two options for new buildings. If it were to be put in the parking lot across the street, has there been talk about resupplicating or adding parking somewhere else in downtown that would take care of all the spots that are being taken from that area if you're going to build on?
I don't think we have much choice of it.
Yeah, but I didn't know, you know, I was
Yeah.
just
I
wondering,
believe-
that's a
there's
question
about
that
30
people are going to
Yeah.
ask.
There's
Because
about
we
30
also, if
spaces.
we do anything with that Stride building, that'd be another parking lot that would be going away.
Yeah, people are going to start asking, I think.
I believe that we,
There is an agreement with the two apartment buildings for some spaces within that parking lot. The idea would be that they could be relocated to Chautauqua. You have to understand that the vast majority of the parking lots downtown, the reason they're a parking lot is because they were at one time a building.
Yeah.
And when downtown was hustling and bustling with traffic and you really didn't have a Highway 2 corridor, we didn't have any parking lots for the most part. It
I was just
all
wondering, because that one I
on-street
think is used a lot, so that's the only reason I'm asking that question.
We did look, there are about 30 spots there that would be impacted.
we feel like we have good street parking in that area that isn't always
Yeah, no,
heavily used.
I'm trying to think of what people are going to ask.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't see moving it to next to the Lake Region Ambulance because the whole push was to have it close to
Downtown.
downtown anyway.
Correct. I would agree with
And
you.
that's people are going to complain about that. And I, rightly so, you know, it's been pushed on them, it has to be downtown, so.
Mhm.
But being brand new, I think is great because if we might as well invest in the future, you know, and get something new in here. Because if we just keep polishing turds, then, I'm not saying those buildings are turds, I'm just saying,
Okay, well,
you know what I mean?
commissioners?
I don't know. I just think it makes sense for everybody just to be in the same building. I mean, just for.
Well,
The only-
I would agree with you.
To me,
They
that
go out
makes-
there.
to
but-
me, that makes
The question I
sense.
have with that though, Lisa, would be, how are they going to fund being part of helping to fund the county if they move the sheriff's department and everybody in the old Western building? And then I still need money to build a jail. How do you get the taxpayers to agree that, you know, money goes here,
So-
money goes to there?
So if we, you know, so this is, if you take we've been told that if you take the police department in our requested garage space out of the new LEC, it'd save the project $10 million. So we're spending 4, you're saving 10.
Yeah.
Okay, now if we did that with the, I'm just saying, if we did that with the sheriff's office and dispatch, can we find another 10, right? So now you're reducing the size of that project by $20 million by spending 6, 7. You know, I feel like that's a good return, right? But just to give you guys a level of understanding of how we've offered multiple times for the county to even walk through the trainer building with us, and we have been unsuccessful.
The issues we're coming up with right now, just for your information, the
Western, sorry.
the counties that are part of the joint powers are not going to be in any way, shape, or form going to their taxpayers and their counties to help fund this new jail. They all said the last meeting, everybody says no, they don't want to do it. So one of two things are going to happen. We become just I'm not saying this is happening, but what's being discussed is we just become a county jail
Mhm.
and not a regional jail,
I would agree.
and the joint powers agreement ends.
Yep.
So maybe now, going back and talking about it on Wednesday, if I bring the point up that.
No matter what we do here, we can still go back. If, you know, I mean, we're
Yeah.
not making any final determination.
No, I'm just saying that this is where
Yep.
the LEC is at right now, because I was fit to be tied, and I did say during the meeting that we came to these other counties months and months and months ago, asking them to take this in front of their, you know, their commissions and their people, and now all of a sudden it came to estimate or get off the pot, and it came down to, nope, we're not doing it. And there was a bunch of, it was good banter back and forth on it, but it's just the fact that this may be where we're gonna have to go.
And maybe we doing something on our own is still okay. They could still do that.
Yeah.
County could.
So it's worth talking and working it back, Spencer.
Right.
Just seeing as how it's now changing
I just want to
for the millionth time.
talk about the public safety center model.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then trying to fix a correctional facility
And build an
on its own,
correctional
on its own.
facility. Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
like I've said, we tried, but there's, again, it won't happen if the county firmly believes that this sheriff's office must be with the correctional facility.
And that's,
Yeah.
like I said, I can discuss that with them because it's all changed again. And it's always good to go back. You never put the nail in the no. It's just,
For the meantime, maybe we don't want to do this. We're not committing to anything anyhow.
oh, yeah.
But what would be in the best interest of us right now if we were to do something?
Yeah.
And I guess my feeling is I like the trainer building. Now, here's my thought. It's an existing building. Of course, we have to acquire it at a reasonable price. You know, now that we're talking about it, prices kind of probably go up, I mean, it should be worth the appraised value, whatever that is. And whatever, and my thought is 2.5 million. And then I know there's a 10% contingency fund. Well, on 2.5 million, that's a substantial amount of contingency fund. I think we can do better in the price if we were able to get into the trainer building. I mean, remodel it as necessary. Put elevators such as we have at like just a simple elevator in that facility. But to me, and do most of our own architectural work and be a kind of the general contractor. We've done a lot of that and not pay. And I think we could reduce the cost of that. I mean, 2.5-3 million, I think my thought is, and this is strictly just my opinion, is to see what we can do to purchase the trainer building, build it a garage, metal type facility, 30 by 30 or whatever is needed. And they do a metal wood construction. I mean, they last for 50 to 100 years. And remodel that with a budget of about 2 million or $1.5 million. And get done what you can with that kind of money. I think we're downtown. We meet the needs of getting downtown, modifying a building that's got a lot of already good stuff, but I get the fact you got to change things around a little bit. But it seems more prudent to do it that way and show the taxpayer we're trying to save some money. I thought about this and we had a lot of meetings talking about different ideas. But when I see this contingency fund of $250,000, $300,000 on a $3 million project, I mean, that's a lot of money. We could build a garage for that. I mean, that's just in case something goes up, I mean, but
That's all the contingency
Yeah,
fund is.
I
If
get
you
it.
encounter unknown, you're covered, you have that
Yeah.
contingency. You're not spending that money unless you encounter
Okay,
something,
so-
right? So it's
okay, let's
it's an
budget.
order of magnitude estimate is what that's based on.
My thought is maybe budget $1.5 million with a contingency fund of 200,000 and, to give or take and work within those confinements. That's my thought. Now, building a new building, you're talking 5 million, 4.5, 5 million. And then building a new building, it's a little more complicated. You can't do it on our own. There you need the,
Question I would have then, Mayor.
Yeah,
with
well, I'm
that
just-
is what does the police chief think about the trainer building? What is your feelings on it? I mean, that's gonna be the place you guys work out of.
I just fall back on what Engineer Grassgard, Administrator Halverson, in our conversation in our committee. And I just think there's a lot of wasted space in the trainer building. No offense to the mayor. I would rather build new. I just think what you're gonna have to put into that building to get it up to speed. When you can reinvest downtown with a new building, I think that would be the clear cut choice that I would make.
In my opinion, you know, when I first had the position as chief, that was one of my goals. Because at the time, I saw that we were, couldn't live in the space we currently were at.
Correct.
It was a pipe dream, you know what I mean? But there's a necessity now that,
Yeah.
you know, push comes to
Well,
shove.
I don't think there's any argument that
Correct.
there's a need,
Um,
you know.
And, you know, and I look at the trainer building, if I drive by it, I just can't envision, the size of it is just, doesn't seem like it's, you know, where I would, I mean, the parking lot and everything, be a great location, but the building within itself, I think you'd have to add a part of a building to it, you know what I mean? Not just a garage attachment to the side, you'd have to be,
Even
with
with
the
the
basement,
basement,
yeah, the basement, but there's a training facility that's a necessity, you know, and that's one thing we were always missing at the PD, is that, you know, whenever we want to do any kind of training, it'd either be in the courtroom, and that's why we limited a lot of our training ability, was because there wasn't any space. And so to have a designated area like that,
It says here that they could have, 400 square foot of open space for training or exercise facility.
And that, if we open up the basement.
Basement,
that'd be
yeah.
sufficient.
But-
You would need substantial remodel.
But then you're putting you're putting an elevator in there and fixing up the basement,
But
so
you're
your price
talking,
just
you've got
went
a
up.
million and a half or $2
Yeah.
million budget, you should be able to do quite a bit.
And then I'm just going one off, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
What the stats show.
Yeah.
well, if it was me, I mean, if it was up to me, I, you know, we'd be making a payment on it, and I'd build it. I like that.
In which
Well, that's
which
what
we're-
location?
And then I think the benefit of having everything on one level, much similar to Commissioner Kanowski's plan, because we did have the plans drawn up.
Which location?
We were gonna put it up by the sanitation building,
Right
up on the
across.
hill there on, across from sanitation. Right by, recycling, on the hill up there. We thought it was a great location.
Right, and the square footage actually from that plan is almost spot on to what Engineer Grassgard had.
But out of the proposed, would you have a, out of the proposed locations that are on here, would you have a?
I don't know if there's enough space there across the street. I'd like the trainer location, because you're right on Sixth over there. You know, that's a nice location. Get rid of the building and build a new one would be ideal, but,
That's, you know, that's a nice structured facility. I mean, it's
right, I mean,
res
but,
concrete.
you know,
It's got precast.
there's gonna be a lot of growing pains there, you know what I mean?
We've remodeled this place to meet the needs for many years and we're doing
Sure.
fine, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
they did
I'm,
build a brand new.
I'm looking at trying to save a few dollars instead, you know, I mean, that's a lot of money. You talk 4 million or 5 million to build new.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not opposed, I get the idea, but if we're gonna do it, I'd like to do it in the downtown. Because help revitalize and
Sure.
start sparking a little bit of interest in others to come downtown.
Right.
So I
Well,
would
there's
think.
this is like a final, right? It's not-
No, no,
We're
no,
just-
this
we're
is
just-
giving some session direction.
And Mayor, as we said in the meeting, right, I think at least the staff and working with PD is, if we do this once, we want to do it right, right? And we feel that, you know, to do the trainer building right is you got to fix up both levels, put the elevator in. At that point, you're in that 3.5 million. And I get totally your, but we told you this, right?
Yeah.
Before, and at that point, you just build it, right? But if you set us a firm budget and say fix up the main floor or whatever, we'll do the best job we can possibly. That was the sentiment, is we want to do this right one time.
I'm not against that. I just thought that we could get a lot of the stuff done on our own and we could make that trainer building fit the needs of the PD. I really believe that. I mean, but new is great and I'm not opposed to it either if we can make it work. But we're talking about double the money.
So, there were a couple of things I just had on here.
But is it,
So,
I guess the consensus is is it are we more interested in new? And if so, or do we want to possibly go back to the Western Bank? We're still going to be in a
Yeah,
confused state. of confusion.
I think that's still a viable option.
If we could get them to work with
That would
us.
be the
Have you checked
ideal, I
with,
think.
have you checked with,
Western, you know, Western.
The
and SO and dispatcher.
BCI, state police, any of them yet?
so I, talked to the chief that I have not contacted them. It was our assessment that their space needs as far as administrative staff and those things is pretty limited.
Yeah.
And that even if you did have both of them on board, there's not enough space there to justify.
Right.
And
And I believe the
And West,
BCI.
there's not enough, to
Need
fix it up
for
for
this
just them.
facility,
I mean,
the
we could all
space.
fit in a quarter of that building.
The BCI just re-upped their lease, so
Yeah, I was just thinking this is gonna be a couple years down the road.
I think it's a 5-year thing, but they signed 5 to 10, I believe, I'm not exactly sure. But it's more than just a year by year. And I know the highway patrol is,
Pretty minimal amount of space.
Yeah, they said they needed.
they're down about half of what they used to be when this was.
No, I was just wondering if any of that's been thought of when it comes to the
It's hard to work
Western.
with the state, it appears.
So
From what it
what
started.
was the size of this new building that you had? How many square feet were you thinking? I guess I didn't see that.
It was 6,000 to 7,500 square feet.
On
One architect had kind of used both floors of the trainer building,
Okay.
added them together, 3,600 plus, you're over 7,000.
Does that lot
But
meet
then we-
that size requirement?
Yeah, there's 4 city lots there, so it's 100 feet by 140 feet. There is a small easement on the westerly portion for some mechanical HVAC
For the
for the
memorial
memorial
building?
building. The city granted an easement for that, but I think there's about 85 feet from the mechanical equipment to the sidewalk and 140 feet deep.
But it
It
wouldn't
is
have enough.
larger than the trainer building. The trainer building, basically a 57-foot building on a 65-foot wide lot. There is not a lot of room on either side. You have a nice parking lot next to you, but that's owned by a different property owner. Could you work something out with that potentially? That's
How
something
about
that
a
would have to
garage
be in
space
the
over here, though?
negotiations.
We wouldn't have room for a garage over here.
Yeah, It would fit on there.
It would.
There are no setback requirements in the downtown district if you wanted to do that. There used to be a building, that used to be city offices were there, fairly large building
Mhm.
back in the day. So if you're looking at a 6,000 square foot building and, I think some of the estimates were a 3,000 square foot garage. And the one 1,800 square foot is the other estimate for a garage, 1,800 square feet.
And then looking at Joe's, when he had, I'm not sure who did the estimate.
Garage?
Yeah, the garage on there, I believe was about 1,900 square feet.
Yeah, that was.
It was about 8,000 square feet total. Yeah, that's correct. So I think something on the north end could encompass that building. It wouldn't be a drive-through, but it would be just up that condition.
So I'm just gonna go down my list, just trying to get some marching orders. I have on my notes, engage Ramsey County again in the LEC. The
You're gonna do
consensus
that
that we should do
Wednesday?
that?
I'll do that Wednesday, and I'll get back
So-
with you Wednesday.
But if that fails, consensus is, what's your thoughts, Rob? You haven't,
I haven't said anything.
no, I know. I would like to get kind of,
Yeah.
I want everybody to have some input so that, hey,
Through this whole thing, I've been all in, I was all in on the trainer building.
okay.
But the age of the trainer building kind of,
Mhm.
it's older than the law enforcement center.
Yeah,
And that's why, one of the reasons the law enforcement center don't work. So that's why I'm thinking more on the new side now,
okay,
or Western, if partners come on.
yeah.
I mean, if we had Western, it could be added to, things could be changed and
There's
constructed
a lot
on
of room
later.
there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Got open space.
I'm not opposed to that site. I mean,
Yeah.
if we can make it work, but
I mean, it's not downtown, but I think it's still viable. It's just,
I mean,
it's
if
closer.
we get it, the buildings there existing, I mean,
Yeah.
it just makes sense to fill the need of that if we can.
Right.
But But as a city, just the police department, it's not liable, it's not viable. Too big.
It's not located downtown, that's my biggest.
And I know the issue that we had with, when I brought this forth to Star Clemensburg about moving dispatch there, she was wondering about how to manage or administer the 911 coordinator, because she would be in a different building. And I said, well, literally, we have engineer Grassgard that administers 3 different departments from City Hall, so
It's easy to
we
do.
don't need to be on site.
No.
Is my belief, so.
I'm sorry, I say we go new, if it comes down to the point where they can't do a one location type deal for
So
safety.
my consensus of everybody is that if we can make the Western work out with a bunch of other agencies, that would be preference. If not, pursue the new.
You're
I'm just giving my opinion. I'm just trying to save some money.
I do like the
It's,
downtown.
I'm not arguing.
I'm trying to
I
save
want to
money
be
too, but we gotta
downtown.
be
I do
real,
like
I think we
downtown.
gotta be realistic on the length.
But
of
I'd
that
like to
building.
be careful on the,
Yeah.
on the expense.
So Jason, Commissioner Pierce, excuse me, you have your LEC meeting on Wednesday. You're gonna throw it up a trial balloon and report back. And maybe in the meantime, Mayor, we can call the people at the county that's in the meantime
I'll
and
have a
say, all right,
conversation. I think
it's kind of a moment of truth kind of thing.
Commissioner
Otherwise,
Volk is the
we're
new
prepared.
chairman of the county.
Yeah, Volkson chairman, he'll be at the meet, he'll be at the meeting.
Is
Oh,
he still,
so,
is he
okay.
still on the LEC board?
Yep,
Because I know
yes.
Mr. Brown is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll wait to hear from
Him and
them.
Jeff
but
Frith are both on the LEC, so.
If we don't hear anything good there, then we just kind of focus on pursuing a new facility. Ouch.
That was the guidance.
That is, I want to verify though with you, it's affordable within the constraints
So
of
what was
our,
quoted, so.
our capital
So,
improvement.
yeah, that's a very important question. So, so we talked about the 6,000 to the 7,500 square feet. So that window on the build new was 3.5 to 5. And so if we're going for, 6,000, 6,250 plus the garage, if we can get somewhere in that $4 million range, I feel pretty confident. I think we've laid it out and we've demonstrated in that capital improvement plan that the funding is there long-term, over 15 years at 4.5%. And I think if you even look at the initial projections, we could entertain more, but then again, that's just a trade-off down the road of money you can't use for infrastructure. And I think it's very important that, why are we relocating the police department? We had the sales tax thing and we have all this LSC stuff is we need to be lowering our operational expenses instead of doubling them, right? Which is that LAC was projected to double our operational costs from 60 to north of 120.
We do have that 60,000 that we're going to work on paying for that new building too.
And we're talking about, we had some budget cuts and all that sort of stuff. That's all in the general fund side of things. The personnel, fire, police, city hall staffing, all that sort of stuff, where we have those other pockets of money on the infrastructure side that can only be used for infrastructure. And we feel pretty confident we've got the resources we need long-term to meet our needs to include this relocation. So building a new police department, despite the fact in the general fund we're reducing, cutting some things, those still live in the same reality because that money can only be used for those purposes. And we couldn't put that sales tax money into the general fund if we wanted to right now, because we're already putting the max given our ordinances that we can. I think, like I had said with this, we're gonna have to be really good communicators because if we have different pots of money set aside for different purposes and every dollar that we get from the state or sales tax or property tax is tied for a specific purpose. But at least as far as the guidance you guys gave saying, hey, engage the LEC, engage the county, see if we can get any traction on the Western building, or if not, we're leaning towards a newer facility. That's kind of the guidance that we as staff needed. So I really appreciate that.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to take any official action.
No,
Right.
I just,
But
Yeah,
I feel like we have good marching orders.
Yeah.
I just want to make a statement. I do appreciate all the effort and time that the commission, Administrator Halverson, and the committee put into this. This is further than we've ever have done before on this, and I do appreciate it.
We're not naming the building Toso
Yeah.
Law Enforcement
Nice
Center,
of you to
okay?
have the dip there.
Already got my name on there.
Whoa, well, yeah, we'll put that name on. Okay, well,
Honestly, thank you. Appreciate the,
yeah, well, we got work ahead of us, no doubt. Okay, we'll move on. Item 11 is the extension of a letter of intent for the Stride Development. Spencer, do you want to give us an update or?
Yeah, so Stride Development, that development company that's looking at developing across from the post office there in that parking lot. We've had a lot of good traction doing Alta surveys and environmentals and continuing the due diligence process. We met with them on the 3rd, I believe it was, and feeling optimistic that we're continuing to gain traction. And so just want to extend the letter of credit. It was originally 120 days, and so just want to extend to that letter of intent to March 31st. Instead of days, we're just going to set a specific date. And then at that time, if it needs to be extended again, we will bring it before you, otherwise bring up a more substantive update.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Pierce,
Second.
second by Commissioner Eulenkamp. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item 12, tree purchase order with Landscape Unlimited.
I'm going to ask that you table this, please, Mayor. There was some informational changes that happened late on Friday that doesn't have us prepared to make a purchase order right now.
So we'll just table it. We don't need a motion
Table.
for it. Okay. Commissioner Pierce,
Second.
Commissioner Kanowski. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Citizen comment. We have nothing at this time, and informational, we have the November, you're gonna get out to us.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Last item is a motion to approve the payment of bills as submitted.
Make a motion to approve the bills.
Commissioner Kanowski. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Pierce. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Eulenkamp.
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce.
Aye.
Commissioner Kanowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Hack.
Aye.
President Moore.
Aye, motion carried. And last item, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas for all their service to the city of Devils Lake and all the employees. And looking forward to the upcoming year and the election coming up. Okay. Good, bad, or otherwise.
You gotta follow it up with a whole.
Oh, 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 Merry Christmas, everybody. Meeting adjourned.